What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Live Loud Life podcast. My name is Antonio, your host of the Live Loud Life podcast. I just want to say, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for following along on our journey. I hope that this information has been both informational and motivational to you, to helping you along your journey. We don't have a lot of housekeeping, a lot of introductory short talk. Be sure, though, to check out our website if you have not, liveloudlife.com. We have a number of just different blog posts, resources out there that really just kind of expand upon the conversation that we provide here on the podcast. That being said, our Instagram handle is live.loud.life. And that's a lot more of just short form content that you can take in little bite size. We talk, obviously, our focus is families, right? And we do have a strong love for helping prenatal, postnatal population and the families and the kids along with that. But we can't forget about the dads. We can't forget about the grandparents and everybody else that's involved in that family, because what we're trying to create here is generational health, right? The wisdom and knowledge around what healthy living is and how to live a long, healthy life, that's generational, right? It starts with grandparents passing it down to parents, passing it down to their kids, so on and so forth. So you can break the stigma or habits that might be involved in your family and set your future generations up to live better, to live louder, to live longer. And that's really what our focus is. So we obviously hit that in a number of different avenues and facets. While we are not specialists in everything, we try to bring specialists on to talk about certain topics. But what we really focus on a lot of, there's a lot of movement-based stuff, right? Having a background as personal trainers and strength and conditioning coaches and mobility coaches, we help a lot with, like, hey, you're in pain. And pain is a big deterrent for motivation and momentum, right? So how can we help you in this interim to continue on? And then from there, as you're gaining momentum and rolling forward and living loud and living your life, how can we polish the edges? How can we take some information to maybe expand upon that? And that's kind of the segue into what I want to talk about today. Today's show topic is I lied. I've lied to myself. I've been lying to myself. And that then creates a slippery slope of what I'm actually able to produce, what I'm able to, or how I feel about certain things, so on and so forth. So I'm going to dive a little bit more into obviously what that means so that we can clarify that and why I am sharing this. So I hope you enjoy the show. All right, so I lied. As I was stating, I've been lying to myself. Now, this is where things, I think, get very interesting in the role of social media and individuals. Now, I wouldn't want to say finding validation, right? But oftentimes when we get stuck or something like that, we're reaching out, we're looking for motivation, we're looking for inspiration, we're looking for ideas, we're looking for information about others that have maybe been down this journey or this path before, to figure out maybe how to get unstuck or get back on path, or just a complete change. Like, let's say I'm stuck with, I don't want to be here anymore and I want to be over there. And this goes for any facet of life, finances, career, how your body and your health, right? So this is not unanimous to just any one of those things. And I think that's really important, because we can't do this on our own. And if there is someone who's done it before you, they've obviously forged a path and understand that. So it's good, as they say, success leaves trails, right? Of following the breadcrumbs of information to determine what's best. But the hardest thing is then when you're doing it, right? When you're doing it, is being honest with yourself about more or less the efforts putting in, because you can't really judge the results, right? Judging the results is only a byproduct of the efforts put in. That's just what it is. There are obviously extenuating circumstances that could change the results, but even then, it's like, what are you going to do about it? Right? You can't go back and change that. So it's either then prepping yourself better for those random circumstances that might come up, right? Or just forging forward again. And this is where I have not been honest with myself. There is, and I do understand grace. I do understand forgiveness. I do understand, reflection of giving credit and being proud and excited of what we have accomplished. And I am, like, our life is wonderful. I am extremely, extremely grateful for the opportunities that we've had, not only for our business, for my education, being in a place within the world and in the United States where that is and could be possible. Being able to raise a family, being able to buy a house. I am extremely grateful for where we are, and it's one of those things. Like, this is a funny thought. I honestly go back and forth. I go back and forth between watching and listening to inspirational, motivational type. I really enjoy doing that stuff, and it's just something that motivates you and charges you, and I love doing that. And I go through these waves and forms, right? But then on the flip side, I've been digging country music lately. It's so funny growing up. I mean, my dad listened to like old school kind of country, and then I didn't really listen to it too much, but now I honestly feel like the other side of that is like there's so much a part of me that's like, what do you need in life? Die a happy man, family, food, roof over your house type of thing, right? And there's so I'm like, okay, on this side, I'm getting amped, I'm psyched, I'm ready for that next level, I'm ready to do this or this, and then like sometimes I'm just like, hey, I just want to sit on the back porch and do X, Y, and Z. And there's a time and a place for both of those. And I think that's what's important of understanding where you're giving your time and attention and carving out the time and attention to be able to get that other side out of it. Because it can't be just go, 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 go. It can't just be go, 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 go. And there are some people like that, God bless their souls, who can just rev and grind and just hit it hard all the time. And but when things start kind of getting washed out, right? Things will start to get washed out when you're not taking a consistent audit and being honest about the effort. So when I'm talking about this go, 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 the go, 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 let me rephrase. It's not go, go, go. It's being specific, it's being intentional, it's being direct, it's being clear about goals, aspirations, next level, whatever it might be, right? Because that helps you define the efforts that when you put in. And this is where, again, I have struggled the most, is maybe not defining things as clear, which would be super helpful in certain facets, right? But being honest about the efforts I've been putting in, because when you start mixing all this stuff, you can't do everything at once. There's a great book called The One Thing, and that's what's so hard about being a business owner. Relatively young, so I mean, we're over the 5-year hump, but we're not hitting the 10-year hump. But having a family and having all this stuff, is you can't do all the things. And when you try to start doing all the things, your efforts start getting diminished in any one of those things, and then the output and the results start to drop. And that's just how it is. And yet then I say, you're doing good, you're working hard, but I'm confusing oftentimes movement with actual progress. And that's a hard thing to measure all the time, because the day in and day out grind, you're not going to see daily progress. It's about being consistent and being honest about the consistency of the efforts that you're putting in. Right. And that's what I encourage you guys to look back and audit in your life, in different areas of life. If you've ever heard of the wellness wheel, right? You have some of examples, and there's different ones out there, right? But you have like business, relationships, spirituality, health, health, a subset, or a different one could be like even like nutrition or something like that. But you start to look in, there's like and each one of those is like really being honest with yourself and not lying. What are the efforts? Like, grade yourself if you want to put a scale of 1 to 10, A, B, C, who cares? It doesn't really matter. But grade yourself, not where they stand necessarily, but what I'm going to start doing is grade myself on the actual honest to God true effort that I'm putting in. And the effort sometimes, like this is an example, it's hard to sometimes measure that, right? But think about this is like, for the most part, for nutrition, it's the effort of what you're not obviously consuming, right? Most of us know we should be getting easier or more fruits, veggies, whole foods, meat, so on and so forth. But that takes more time and effort. So it's a lot easier to just grab the bar to do this, right? It's a lot easier to say, hey, I'm a little tired. I'm gonna take my workout a little easier today. When in reality, I don't want to say it's the lack of motivation, but we're not doing anything that actually makes us that tired. Like, we should be able to kind of dig deep and push ourselves a little bit. And this does, we're not confusing physiology. We obviously know the need for sleep, and there's a whole nother conversation that has to be had around recovery, obviously. But I think so many of us, we're just beat down to a certain degree from having all these other things that we need to do, and we're just feeling too scattered. So having pen and paper, notebook, computer, whatever that is, and just trying to just start writing down and being more clear about those things and trying to find the patterns of, okay, well, I need to allocate more time here, or I need less of this. And in reality, when you start doing this, when you really just take a few minutes and start doing this, it opens up pretty clearly, right? We tend to know the things that we need to stop giving so much time and effort towards, or maybe need to be a little bit more efficient towards, so on and so forth. And I always think about this. I was raised, as I was growing up, I was Catholic. If any of you ever heard of Lent before, most people know what Lent is, but you give something up for Lent, and it's supposed to be a sacrifice. And more recently, I was thinking about this from just a habitual thing, right? Obviously, I have these goals and these accomplishments that I want to hit in a number of different areas. And then I was just thinking, well, oftentimes we think about, well, what do I need to do in order to get to that, to get to those goals, to reach that marker or whatever that is? And then I started then reflecting as, well, more than what do I need to do? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to release? Because there are a number of things that are not aiding me or helping me actually get to those goals. And this was partially a reflection. We had we were at a conference this past weekend, and one of the keynote speakers was essentially reflecting on the 80-20 rule, right? So the 80-20 rule, for those of you who don't know, is essentially that 80% of your results comes from 20% of your efforts, right? So if we were to break this down, let's say for instance, business wise, right? We do a lot of marketing and advertising, right? 80% of the revenue brought in from patients or whatever that is comes from 20% of really what those marketing efforts are. So the goal is you got to determine what that is, so that you can double down and triple down or focus on that, right? But it's interesting. 80% then, the 80% of our efforts only gives us 20% of our results, right? So it's really so it goes both ways, right? I need to understand what things I need to stop doing, but then the things that are working, that's where you need to feed forward and in. And it's different for everything. It's a constant reevaluation audit, as we had already indicated, to figure out what those things are, because they'll change. They'll change. Like, markets change as a result of business, right? Seasons of life change when you're talking about, if you have another kid, or you move, or work's crazy. Like, how do you keep getting the results that you want, and making sure that you're putting enough time and effort in the right input, the 20%, as opposed to putting more time and energy into the 80%. So that's been more of a reflection that I'm going through, is not lying to myself and being honest. What are the 80%? What's the 80% that I'm still doing that's only giving me 20% of my results? Because that's the fat that I need to trim off and get rid of, and then I can focus on everything else, right? And most of us know, like when I was thinking about this, I knew right off the bat a few things that came to mind that just was, it's not helpful. It's not wrong. It's not wrong, but it's not like it was bad and it was creating negative results, like going backwards. It just was not helpful in the overall goal. And really, if you think about it, it's kind of like it's slowing you down. If you want to get to X, Y, and Z, if you're focusing or you're doing too much of the 80% that's only yielding 20% of the results, you're just dragging dead weight. And there might be a time and place where that might come back around and be advantageous, but that's what we're trying to like dive in. And that's why I'm such a big fan of, especially for busy, we're all busy, but I would call bang for your buck, right? When we're talking about like movements, right? That's why I'm so biased towards things that have great impact with the littlest amount of effort, right? And for me, that's kettlebells. For me, it's kettlebells. I think they're great. They elicit strength components if used appropriately. They obviously offer a lot of metabolic conditioning and cardiovascular training. They can be utilized very effectively for mobility training and stability as well. There are certain avenues that you are missing out on it, but I think that's one of the best bang for your buck, 20% that elicits a lot of the 80% or the results that most people are looking for. That's a fantastic choice. That's a little bit of a sidebar for this, but all in all, we got to stop lying to ourselves, right? Creating a little bit more honesty. I don't want you to beat yourself up, right? But it's just having an honest to God, truthful reflection about where we are in certain things. And more importantly, not where we are, is the efforts that we're putting towards that. If you're not where you want to be in some avenue of your life, reflect back on the efforts that you've actually been putting through there. Now, if you feel honest and truthfully that you have been putting in as much effort as you possibly can, well, there's ways to accelerate that, right? We have catalysts, support groups, coaching, probably the easiest, right? Mentors, whatever that might be, someone that can help you figure out, like, maybe we're just blind to the 80-20 rule and we're not quite sure, right? And someone else can come in and be like, this is the issue right there. So sometimes you just need a little bit of extra help to help you break through that. But more times than not, you get a ton out of just doing this self-reflection and audit and figuring out what to trim out. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. This is the transition and the change that I'm just sharing my journey and what I'm going to be focusing on in this fourth quarter of 2022, getting into 2023. And just kind of really prepping what this next year looks like as we're winding down 2022, wrapping up a few projects, but then looking forward in a 6 months, 1 year, kind of 3 year point in time, and doing some backcasting to figure out what I actually need to focus my time and attention on and what I need to take my time and attention away from. So until next time, guys, live loud.